Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick lecture slash record my screen to show you a couple of things just to make sure I have tried to cover all my bases with you guys about what's important for this research essay. So I know I've talked extensively about the who, which is your audience, the what, which is your purpose, and the why, which is sort of your context, and that those are the most critical aspects of this essay. In addition to remembering that you're writing an argumentative essay, not an informative essay, which is just a series of information where you're telling somebody something, and not a compare and contrast essay of like the pros and the cons, but in your head you need to have a specific audience in mind. You need to know their stance on the issues that you're covering or the issue that you're covering. You need to know why you disagree with them, and you need to have research to support that. Okay? Now, how are you going to use that research? I mean, aside from just informing you and giving you credibility, it needs to be in the essay. And I am assuming that every single one of the sources you're drawing from are going to be reflected in the essay. And so here I am at the owl.english.purdue.edu. And this is a website that I think I have sent you guys to before. If you come here, let me back up a little bit just so you can find this same place that I am. The first thing I did was I selected non-Purdue instructors and students. And then I came down to quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. Okay? So we're going to talk about the differences between quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. This is also in your textbook. This is just a quick overview of this. But what are the differences between quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing? So quotations must be identical to the original using a narrow segment of the source. They must match the source document word for word and be attributed to the original author. And it's going to be obviously in quotation marks. Paraphrasing involves putting a passage from a source material into your own words, okay? So it's basically like you read a portion, like you took a paragraph and then paraphrased it. I do not love paraphrasing. I particularly don't love it for my freshman students because I think it is very, very tricky to do it right, because oftentimes students think that they can just like maybe get a thesaurus and change a word here and a word there and they're paraphrasing, but really it's more like a quote where they've changed a couple words, and so you actually are plagiarizing if you're doing it that way. It would be better for you just to direct quote it. I also think summarizing is okay. I think if you don't know how to do that well, you should stick with quoting. But summarizing is okay because I think in general what you're doing is you're reading the entire source and you are reflecting on it as a whole. So it's basically you read, it would be just like a book report. You read the entire book and then you came back after you finished the book and you were like, this is what that book was about. So that's what a summary is that's what that source was about. So why use quotes, paraphrases, and summaries? Provide support for your claims or add credibility to your writing. Refer to work that leads up to the work you are now doing. Give examples of several points of view on a subject. Call attention to a position that you wish to agree or disagree with. Highlight a particularly striking phrase, sentence, or passage by quoting the original. Distance yourself from the original by quoting it in order to cue readers that the words are not your own. And expand the breadth or depth of your writing. And then there's this great example paragraph, okay? In his famous and influential work, The Interpretation of Dreams, Sigmund Freud argues that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. Then they would include a page number. That is your in-text citation. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. But this is important, okay? This is the quote here. It's just a part of a sentence that they quoted from this Sigmund Freud book, The Interpretation of Dreams. Expressing in coded imagery the dreamer's unfulfilled wishes through a process known as the dream work, also a quote, and a page number. According to Freud, actual but unacceptable desires are censored internally and subjected to coding through layers of condensation and displacement before emerging in a kind of I don't even know what that word is, rebus puzzle in the dream itself. And then there's a page number. So then that was probably a paraphrase or a summary. Okay? So this person has used 2 different quotes and a paraphrase in this paragraph, with a page number citing the original work, which would have been from the same book. And that's the reason that there's no author's last name. So, in your textbook and in MLA, which you could find through the website and also through the OWL. I may have talked about it last week. Hold on one second. I'm grabbing your book because you have MLA starting on page 538 in your textbook. Is where the MLA starts. Okay. You need to reference this because it will break down exactly what you're supposed to be doing. As far as like, are you using a book? Are you using a newspaper article? Are you using an academic article? And how exactly do you cite that? And it shows you both the in-text and the I was going to say, is it recording this? I think it is. The in-text citation and your works cited page is also known as end of text. We just call it that just to differentiate it from the in-text and the end of text, okay? So, an in-text citation is going to look similar to what you just saw, where you have your quote, I'm doing this all wrong. Be patient with me because I'm thinking this up as I go. Okay, there you go. So this is a in-text quote. Now, this is a map that leads us to this great works cited page, okay? Your works cited page is going to be its whole separate page. It won't say page on it, okay? It'll look like this. And then on the left-hand side, you will have author, last name, comma, first name, and then all the other MLA type material. So for the Bible source, you might say it's going to look like this. You won't really have an author's last name or first name. It would just be the Bible. And then whatever version you're using, like it might be NIV, and the publication date, and yada, 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 okay? Please reference the MLA on page 537, 538 in your textbook, okay? But generally, you have author's last name, comma, first name, and then you have the title of the smaller work, which would be, for example, let's say we read an article about race relations in Ferguson, and let's say this came from the New York Times, and that it was published May 25th, 2003, that sounds great. And then we accessed it online, so www.newyorktimes.com, and then you would also need your date of access, which is going to, there's usually a specific format for it. Hold on one second, I'm looking. They are not giving me a lot here as far as web. Okay, yes. So let's say your date of access was 23rd October 2007. Okay, that's what that would look like. So that is your basic citation. Okay, those will be in alphabetical order. So you'll have an A, your B, your C, then maybe an M, then a W. Okay, they're going to be in alphabetical order. So this here points to this here. Does that make sense? So when you're writing your essay and someone else is reading your essay, they know that whatever this in-text citation was has a reference point on the works cited page that that person could then go and look up that work. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm going to insert a new page. Oh bless. Let's just start from scratch. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is how you introduce material into your text. So you're writing your essay and you want to figure out, how do I insert this quote? Because you obviously can't just like quote material randomly. So we do what I call a sandwich. Okay, this is what a sandwich looks like. You introduce the material, if I could spell. You quote, summarize the material, then you reflect on the material. This is also like, how is it relevant to the greater whole? Okay, so this is what your sandwich looks like. Does that make sense? So you don't want to just throw a random quote in here, like you're talking about alcoholism and all of a sudden you just throw in this random quote and it has no context for the essay as a whole. You've got to place your material. Okay, so you want to introduce the material, even if the introduction is as simple as you know, if this is the first time we've heard of this author, you know, you want to go Orwell's book 1983 discusses a dystopian society in the future. And in this book, he says blah, 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 blah. And then you want to say, okay, how does this reflect to what you're talking about? Okay. To the greater part of your essay. So I am hoping all of that just recorded. I think that is all I needed to cover with you. Let me check my notes one more time. Yes, I think that we're good. I hope you guys know I'm here if you need me. I know this is the most challenging thing we've done. For some of you, this may be the first time you've written a research paper. For other of you guys, this may be old hat. If you need help with MLA, if you need help with your sources, if you need help with formulating this essay, that's what I'm here for. We can set up a time where we can phone talk, or we can email back and forth. If you're not getting a hold of me quickly, sometimes like I can't check my Pulaski Tech email on my phone, it won't let me, and so that makes it hard sometimes for me to get to a computer to get my email checked. So if I'm not responding to you very quickly, please feel free to text me or call. I included my number in this week's page, so you can do that. And I think that's about it. I know you guys are going to do awesome. I am excited to read these, and just remember, it's the first draft. I expect they're going to be rough. That's the whole point of peer review, and I will also be looking over those drafts as well. So I think that's it. I hope you guys have a good week. Talk to you soon.